Minister will be coming here to handle, to give us an update on the COVID situation. So I believe that many of the questions can actually be responded to after the Prime Minister's address. So I would only allow a few which qualify as matters of national interest, because a number of them really are constituency matters, and I wish you could ask questions so that they are answered. So I would ask the Honorable Nabaiga to use 2 minutes. Aida.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I raise a matter concerning the cut-off of Kalangala district due to the poor road network. Right Honourable Speaker, Kalangala district has 3 inlets, and that is Entebbe, Nachuogo to Lutoboka in Kalangala. And we also have Kasenyi that goes to other inland islands in Chamuswa constituency. But as I talk now, Right Honourable Speaker, the passenger boats that used to come to Kasenyi due to the outbreak of COVID no longer move. And the ship that plies Nachuogo to Lutoboka, that ship was taken for maintenance. And so the district was left with only 1 inlet and outlet, and that is Bugoma Masaka. Right Honourable Speaker, as I talk now, there is a stretch of 2 kilometers from Bukakata as you're going to Masaka that is impassable. Right Honourable Speaker, you find people using legs passing through the water, and the women decide to put their clothes up. The men decide to put up their trousers to ensure that they do what? To ensure that they pass through. Right Honourable Speaker, I was there. Right Honourable Speaker, I witnessed this yesterday, and it's what is happening. Right Honourable Speaker, we are a dependent district. We depend on Mataka district for food and health services. Right Honourable Speaker, as you know, Kalangala district doesn't have a hospital. So all the referrals being made, people can't reach there because of the impassable road. We can't get food because of the impassable road. And those trucks that really the drivers, those drivers who insist to do what? To pass through that stretch, the lorries fell off the road, and the drivers are taken to were taken to the nearby health facility when they were in critical condition. Right Honourable Speaker, the contractor is on the site, but I wonder why the contractor doesn't concentrate on this bad stretch and went to the side where they went and concentrated near as you're going to reach Masaka in Nyendo. So, Right Honourable Speaker, my humble request, I ask the Ministry of Works to ensure that this stretch is fixed to enable our people or to enable mobility to the islands. Right Honourable Speaker, I also request the Ministry of Health to consider Kalangala district. At least we have only 2 health centers. At least one of the health centers be upgraded to a hospital. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Nabaiga. I saw them. Is the Minister of State for Works here? Can you handle the issue of Kalangala Island districts have special problems? Yes, Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm going to report on the contractor who is not doing the work properly, but for the ferry for Kalangala district, we are hoping to get it back in the next few days. It was just being worked on. It's the usual kind of maintenance that was being done on it, but it should be back in the next few days for them. I will report tomorrow, no, next week, if it will not have started working on the days that they are giving us, but they promised the work would be done and finished in 2 weeks.
Okay, Honorable Mbwate Kamwa, 2 minutes. Then Honorable Abbott.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the matter of national importance is about UNEB registration. Right Honorable Speaker, when the President made a pronouncement that schools with candidate classes should prepare, they will be opening within 2 weeks in time, some schools immediately started sending messages to parents to prepare and pay this money or to prepare the amount of money they are supposed to pay. But Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, this wouldn't be an issue if they were informing parents to pay the right amount. But they are trying to inform parents, they are going to charge parents a lot of money that is not even required by UNEB. Right Honorable Speaker, UNEB is supposed to be charging, for example, for P7, 34,500 to register as candidates. But some schools, I may even mention some, a school called Mother Mangel sent a message to parents that they should prepare 80,000. Homesteading in Kamocha, they sent messages that parents should prepare 150,000. Then we have Golden Berry, that they should pay 139,000. Mukono Junior, they sent messages that they should prepare 70,000. Seta Boarding, for which is even for our Honorable Minister, they are also sending parents, I mean Honorable Minister Muyingo, they sent messages they are supposed to pay 40,000, 400,000. Yes, 400,000. So, Right Honorable Speaker, our parents, all Ugandans, have faced challenges with COVID-19. Most of them have been, their businesses have been affected. They are not working. We are even worried for us who do have even some schools. Now, one wonders if even the minister, his school is trying to charge 400,000 as registration, who is going to rescue us as Ugandans? Right Honorable Speaker, this is my prayer. One, minister should come here and explain to this parliament. The official should make an official statement. How much money should Ugandans pay nationally? Not only for primary, but even there are other national examining bodies like UBTEB, UNIMEB, all over, and Ugandans get to know. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer. We've seen some of us who have private schools, sometimes we are compelled not to chase students when they've not completed school fees, most especially candidates, to sit and we demand. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, this is the right time for the government also to to say we know our parents have been affected, they should not even pay for this money. Government should also pay for this money. Government should not also stop students from registering because they failed to pay this money. I thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay, honourable members, the Minister of Education is expected here to come and update us on the conditions for the schools reopening. There are issues raised yesterday, but I want him to also address this issue for the candidate classes when he comes back next week to address us about the opening.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mine was an information in conjunction with my colleague, a submission. The Honourable Mbwate Kamwa. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable members. Right Honourable Speaker, like my colleague has rightly said, all Ugandans have been affected by COVID. And as far as schools are concerned, we cannot, as a country, as a government, advise our people, advise our parents to pay school fees at this time. When it comes to exams, it is terrible. We have been running a program, Right Honourable Speaker, referred to as the Universal Secondary Education. That one has been sponsored by government, but the government is in its final stages of withdrawal of this program. Most of these private schools cannot now conduct exams, cannot run educational programs for S4s and senior 6s because they cannot collect money from parents. I would propose, Right Honourable Speaker, to the ministry and to government that this time let the government also show its sacrifice, because all of us have sacrificed. If possible, this year government extends its withdrawal of USE sponsorship to the private schools who have been running that program, because they will not be able to conduct exams to teach these students of S4 and senior 6s effectively. You cannot demand school fees at this time.
No, honourable members, let us go to Honourable Ouma. Abbott. Honourable Ouma, 2 minutes. Then Honourable Kajinda.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for allowing me to bring this issue. And I know you are the only person among many here who has traveled to the islands. Madam Speaker, some time back, the government of Uganda passed a budget here of around 15 billion to construct the Sigulu ferry. And I recall very well, last year, around August, the ferry was complete. I came here and addressed this issue here. The islanders were very happy. And Madam Speaker, the other time, I did request the Minister for Works to come and explain why the ferry that was complete some time back is still in Jinja, Masese. Madam Speaker, last week we registered very many deaths in the islands. Now that they are saying that schools are going to open the candidate classes, our boats are being destroyed. We don't know how we are going to travel using these students. It is my humble appeal, Madam Speaker. It is even very sad that the ferry is complete. I went and saw it almost a year down the road, lying in Masese. Should the government come and tell us whether that ferry is for tourists to go and see in Masese, or this ferry is supposed to go and serve the people of Busoga and Namango district in Sigulu Islands? So I want, Madam Speaker, the Minister to come and tell us why the ferry is in Masese, and when is this ferry going to serve the people of Bukoidi Islands? That's my prayer, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable members, the issue of the Sigulu ferry is something that excited so many Ugandans, because finally the islands have transport. But I think we'd want to know from the Minister, why is the ferry sitting in Masese? Why isn't it in Namayingo? Minister of Works.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm going to make sure that the ferry gets back to where it should be.
No, it has never started. It is still sitting in Masese. That's the problem. When will the ferry actually start?
It will definitely start before the end of the lockdown.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and I thank the Minister for allowing me to seek clarification from her. Right Honourable Speaker, everybody saw the people of Namayingo when that ferry came, how they celebrated and how they praised the NRM government. It's very unfortunate that after the ferry arriving, it was withdrawn and put on the island or on the landing site where they had not expected it. The clarification I'm seeking from the Minister, Right Honourable Speaker, is why was the ferry that once landed at Namayingo landing site pushed to Masese landing site where they had not expected it? It's the same thing that we wanted to know. Why was it pushed to Masese?
Now, Honourable Minister, I want you to be a bit more serious. The ferry being in Masese has nothing to do with the lockdown. We would want to know why has the ferry never commenced. It was budgeted, appropriated in this House. We were very excited when we heard it has been constructed. We want to know why has it not gone to work in Namayingo. If you are not ready, you come back with a better answer.
Madam Speaker, I'll come back next week and inform you why.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the matter of national importance is about the fate of 124 Ugandans, including Sam Mugumya, who have been under imprisonment in the Dolo prisons in the Democratic Republic of Congo, that are under threat of their lives due to too much prison congestion and detected cases of COVID-19. Madam Speaker, the current report reviewed by the Minister of Health in the government of DRC indicates that 41 cases of COVID-19 have been detected in the prison. And the country has registered 572 cases. And Madam Speaker, so far 5 people have been died from Ndoro, died from Ndoro prison. So Madam Speaker, my prayers, that Honourable Speaker, I pray that the 124 Ugandans jailed in Ndoro prisons from DRC be repatriated back to their home country for quarantine care, save their lives. Because we know there has been a mutual understanding between the government of Uganda and DRC. But since that time, since January, the whole process has been quiet, so we want to know, we want to get the information from the government how far they have gone. Second, Madam Speaker, that the 124 Ugandans who are in Ndolo prison should access justice. They have been waiting for, they have been in prison for the last 6 years. They have never gone to the courts of law. They are there
and the government here is quiet. Lastly, Madam Speaker, we request the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Parliamentary Committee of Foreign of this Parliament and the Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs urgently take up this matter so that we can rescue our people who are suffering from the neighboring country. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Members, I think this is slightly more complicated. I don't know whether we have an extradition treaty or whether the Transfer of Convicted Offenders Act we passed here covers DRC. But in any event, I think the Minister for Justice should come and update the House about the fate of the 124 Ugandans who are in the Ndoro prison in the DRC, and also the Minister of Foreign Affairs to explain to us whether there are any arrangements for return of prisoners to Uganda, if they could do that within a fortnight. Thank you. Honorable Achiro.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I rise on an issue of national importance relating to our children in northern Uganda, our children suffering from nodding disease. Right Honourable Speaker, I've been home for the last 2 weeks. This has been a very difficult condition and time for the children suffering. This time of the lockdown has been one of the most difficult times in the lives of our children suffering with nodding disease. Right Honourable Speaker, I represent a constituency with the most numbers of children with nodding disease. We know that it's on record that we have 3,162 children with nodding disease, both in Lao sub-region and Acholi sub-region. But per day alone, we have 2,118 children suffering from nodding disease. Right now, as I speak, I want to report to this House in a very sad way, Madam Speaker, that we have lost most of these children during this time because of the lockdown. They would not access food. There is no food. They have been suffering they have been going through a lot of hunger, no food. We had NGOs that used to donate to these children, but they have left. They are no longer there. We had Good Samaritans that used to travel from all over northern Uganda, from Kampala, northern Uganda, all over Uganda. They can't travel. So these children we lost. I think we lost more than 500 of these children. Madam Speaker, it's my humble request. I remember, if I can recall, 1 or 2 months ago, when we were debating, Honorable Asamo said very clearly that we should consider vulnerable groups of people as we go ahead maybe to give food to people in Kampala and Wakiso. But I think no one took that as important. But I'm telling you, if you go to some places in Uganda, these people are suffering. I saw it myself. It's a painful one. And I'm asking government, if they still do care, walk to the north, in Aru North. It's not that I wanted to act as a purchasing officer. Kindly, I'll be putting this money back, but I'm asking government, kindly go and save these children in the north. They are dying. Let them die in a decent way. Thank you. We remain grateful. Thank you. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you, honourable members. Can we ask the Minister of Health to give us an update on the situation of the children with Endoding syndrome in northern Uganda and what plans they are to support them. We need an answer by Thursday next week. Honorable Pachuto.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and members, I stand before you here with a very heavy heart and very sad indeed. On behalf of the people of Pakwach, we rose up this morning to a very sad situation. Right Honourable Speaker, the land wrangle between the people of Jonam who live across the Nile in Noya district did not just start yesterday. The parliaments before, one where I'm in today, have had these issues. Right Honourable Speaker, personally I brought this issue to you and I know how far you had gone to help us amicably resolve this issue with our brothers and sisters across the Nile. Right Honourable Speaker, on Monday, a group of people went with soldiers and started putting stone marks and burnt 3 huts. But this morning, Madam Speaker, I was called by the LC1 of Obira village in Noya district, telling me there were about 6 soldiers who are shooting, burning huts, and looting. Madam Speaker, I took it up. I tried to reach my RDC. I reached General Tema, and I told him there was a problem in Noya and people were going to die. Hardly after 1 hour, General Tema promised me he was going to call the DPC. Later on, I called him again. I gave him the telephone number of the LC1, who talked to him and told him soldiers were actually increasing and burning huts. By the time I last talked to the LC1, 20 huts were burned. After 1 hour, Madam Speaker, I was called when I was in a committee meeting that we had lost 3 people. The soldiers, UPDF soldiers, shot 3 people from Pakwach dead, and the bodies are in the detached in Noya, around Obira village. Madam Speaker, 5 other people were injured. 1 injured person is in the detached. 4 were rushed to Pakwach Health Center. 4. Madam Speaker, we in Pakwach have not heard of any war in Uganda. We have not heard of any rebel activity going on. So we believe that these are UPDF, and the LC1 was even able to call them by names. One is a commander in that detach called Muchiga. Another one is called Omot. Madam Speaker, we are Ugandans like any other person in Uganda. We are wondering why our people are suffering at the hands of Uganda Army. Because these people were dressed in UPDF uniform, and indeed, after I talked to General Tema, when I told him, yes, I told you people would die, they have actually died. Then he told me he was getting in touch with the commander, Army commander in Gulu. Madam Speaker, yes, please.
Thank you so much, Honorable Jane, for giving me way. Madam Speaker, I am at the same time really disheartened. One is that the Jonam people now believe that this issue is beyond the people whose names have ever been mentioned here. There must be bigger people who are only fronting these other guys whose names are being mentioned. And if there were no bigger people or bigger forces, why would it be that the previous parliaments, I think the 8th parliament, the 9th parliament, these issues have been there. We have raised these issues in this 10th parliament and nothing happens. That is the first. And then 2, the Jonam people also believe that whereas on their side, they are looking at this as a matter of farmland, it seems there are people, and particularly the so-called bigger people, who know the other potentials there. And they even openly speak about the potential for oil And that is why these people want to chase our people away. And Madam Speaker, from the time you had indicated that you would come and support us to resolve this matter, some of these people have been mocking us and saying, now you bring your speaker to protect you. And we still think you need to find time and you help us. And finally, as I end, Madam Speaker, we really would want to know, as Jonam people, who can help us, who can protect us? If in this parliament we cannot be protected, we cannot be helped, if even the government cannot help us, we want to know who can help us, who will protect us. Thank you, Honorable Jane.
Now, Honourable members.
Just to conclude, Madam Speaker, in one of the President's directives during this COVID, he said farmers should go about doing their work. And many of these people that were shot today, injured, their hearts burnt, these are farmers who have been going about with their work. They have crops in the garden. They have crops that they have harvested. Madam Speaker, we are wondering, is this to frustrate our people from going on about their work so that they can die of hunger, leave alone the bullets that we have received today? Madam Speaker, I want to appeal. Madam Speaker, I want to say that we are still part of this country. Why has government not come to our rescue up to today, after now and again raising this issue?
Switch on.
Madam Speaker, the army has 10 representatives in this House, some of them extremely senior. Honorable General Pecos Kutesa, Honorable General Ivan Koreta, and others. Just listen, and others. Even honor the Minister of Security, that's correct. Now, honorable members, this army has been here for more than 3 decades. From 1986, more than 3 decades. So rather than, why don't you engage these generals who are colleagues? Help you. You listen, don't yell at me. Let me make my point, then you'll come and make yours. Why don't you engage the generals who are members of the House, who can help you access the Chief of Defense Forces, and even talk to the division commander of the area, so that you really sort out this issue? Must you come here on the microphone? There are a number of avenues.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg for your protection. That is just another ex-general who's threatening me. Madam Speaker, today morning I was told today I pass that route to Pakwach, I will be gunned down. And here is another ex-general threatening me on the floor of Parliament. I need to be protected, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my prayers. Madam Speaker,
Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence. This is something that I raised last week regarding the excessive force of soldiers. Madam Speaker, as I speak now, I've just got a message from a place called Kololo, Teokoro, where UPDF /UA are chasing people from their gardens, they are chasing people from their houses. There's a lot of confusion right now as I speak. So what, yes, and it is the UPDF who are doing this. So we really need answers. Our people are suffering. They are adhering to the guideline of the president of staying home. How sure are we that these soldiers are actually safe and they are not bringing diseases to our people? This is the information I wanted to bring, Madam Speaker.
Now, honour members, I think it is wrong for one to say that if you want to see the army commander, you go through one of the MPs. The MPs are here, they listen, they take no action. No, honour members, First, this is really a serious issue because we are supposed to be in lockdown. There's not supposed to be evictions, no displacements, but apparently it's now a bonanza. So I want to ask the Minister for Defense to come here, first to examine the situation between Pakwach and Noya and give us a report on Tuesday about what is happening in this area. Thank you very much. Let's go to item 3.
Item 3 on the order paper. Bills first reading. The Constitution Amendment Bill 2020.
Ona Mawanda. Mawanda. Ona Mawanda. Mawanda. Honourable members, I said the issues which are COVID related will be handled by the Prime Minister. Please. Let's have the first reading, please.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Constitution Amendment Bill 2020 be read for the first time. Madam Speaker, Bill number 12. Madam Speaker, the bill is not accompanied by certificate of financial implication, but the clerk did communicate to the Minister of Finance on 10th February 2020, and after the expiry, as per our rules of procedure, after the expiry of the 60 days, it is deemed to have been issued. So I am proceeding against that rule of ours, and I beg to move. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, the bill satisfies the conditions required for first reading and is now sent to the Committee on Legal and Parliamentary Affairs for perusal and report back. Item 4.
Item 4 on the order paper, statements by ministers. 4.1 on the management of floods in Kasese and Bundibujo districts.
Minister for Disaster.
Madam Speaker, the Minister for Disaster Preparedness has been in the field. He's requesting that he makes this statement next week.
No, Zogu? Atkins and then Zogu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue of devastating floods in Kasese is a matter of life and death. As I speak right now, Madam Speaker, you might have seen a video clip transmitted by UBC there in my constituency of Konzo County West, Kitoru, and the Handiro and Nyakiumbu. 5 people were covered by mad slides. And 3 rivers burst their banks. 14 people were swept away, and right now, police and the citizens are on the search of recovering the 14 bodies. Madam Speaker, this not only affects my community, but the entire district. It can't be business as usual, Madam Speaker. We want a comprehensive response from government. What is it going to do between now and tomorrow? Because we don't know what the weather again has for this community.
Madam Speaker, I've just returned from Kasese this afternoon, and I can practically tell you that the situation is terrible. There are more than 10 camps of people who have been displaced. So many areas have been cut off in terms of communication, Right Honourable Speaker, and people cannot even access facilities like the health facilities, Right Honorable Speaker, including sources of livelihood like food, and particularly in the sub-counties of Mariba, Bugoye, Right Honorable Speaker, and Nyabugasani, Nikisinga, and Charumba. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I just want to know, yesterday the President was in Kasese, and there was some sense of hope that possibly something positive is going to be communicated today. Right Honorable Speaker, the information that I would like to give is to the effect that why is this situation, why is this crisis in Kasese being treated as if it is a normal situation, including the Bundibujo one, Right Honorable Speaker?
Madam Speaker, I rise and speak with a heavy heart because this matter has been on the order paper. On Tuesday, we expected the minister, yesterday and today. Madam Speaker, today is exactly 14 days since we had this phase of ravaging floods in Bundibujo and Kasese. As I speak today, Madam Speaker, the people who were affected by River Ramia at the border with the Congo are staying at a primary school in classrooms. Madam Speaker, there are over 50 households when the river changed its course were left on the side of Congo, and they are not allowed by the Congolese to access their gardens because the Congolese believe that the river is the boundary. And once the river changes the course, now those households are believed to be in Congo and they are not allowed to access their gardens. We expected the minister to come and tell us how all these situations are being managed. As representatives of the people, Madam Speaker, we are under pressure. What is government doing? Like my colleague said yesterday, His Excellency the President was in Kasese. The people of Bundibujo do not know what is happening. Maybe the ones of Kasese got an answer from the President. When are we getting a statement? When are we getting hope, a message of hope from government? Maybe that now the Right Honorable Prime Minister is here. If the Minister for Disaster is not there, probably the Prime Minister should be able to tell us. By today, we should have an answer that we give to our people. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, we're glad you have come. The issue of Kasese and Bundibujo is extremely painful because every day the members are here seeking answers. I hope you can give them some comfort, Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, the tragedy that befell the people of Kasese, Bundibujo, and by the way, many other areas of the country, is very well known to us. And as colleagues have rightly said, His Excellency the President yesterday visited some of the devastated areas in Kasese, and the ministers, both the Senior Minister and the Minister of State, have been in the area and were also accompanying the President. Actually, Minister Musa Echweru was there immediately after that tragedy. I have myself met the honorable members of Parliament from Kasese on that subject matter. They know that some immediate relief in terms of food was made available. It may not be adequate, but this is a quick resuscitation effort by government. A statement is therefore going to come. What is critical, by the way, is not the statement. What is critical is the content and the actions on the ground being done. And this statement by the Honorable Minister will take into account what has happened, the visit of His Excellency the President, and the more comprehensive action that government is taking over this very serious matter and over what the country has suffered from over the last 2-3 weeks. So, Right Honourable Speaker, a statement is coming this week. Actually, some of the ministers were traveling today from Kasese. Give them time to arrive, to write their statements, and come and give the statement. Actually, Tuesday will be the most logical day when this statement will be made by government. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Honourable members, item 42.
Item 42, on actions taken to enforce adherence to building standards and regulations on the numerous accidents occurring at building sites, status of compensation of affected families, and steps taken to stem the reoccurrence of such accidents.
Minister of Works.
Right Honourable Speaker, the Building Control Act 2013 came into action in 2018, and last year the Building and Construction Board came into existence with its committees, and this board is the one in charge. Part of their functions is to monitor building developments to ensure that the design and construction of buildings and utilities to which the public is to have access cater for persons with disabilities and many other sections that are to be worked on by this board and the communities. But because of this lockdown, nobody is able to move, and criminals are now putting up buildings quickly, and some of them are those which are getting into some problems. After lockdown is when we can really speak with confidence, because that is when this board will take control of their work.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honourable Minister, in your recent circular number 1 of 2020, dated on 11th May 2020, summarizes the problems as low levels of compliance and building laws and regulations. Honourable Minister, in place we have Building Contract Act 2013. We have the National Building Code 2019.
Honourable members, the minister was making a statement.
We have the Building Control Regulations.
Honourable member, the minister was making a statement. You have not allowed her to finish. You are now.
I'm giving her.
No. Let the minister finish her statement. Then you can come. Minister, you complete your statement, please.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The National Building Review Board was appointed last year with its committees. What I'm trying to say, members, is with lockdown, the board can't operate and the committees can't move to check on what is happening. So if there are buildings coming up now in a rush, being put up by some criminals, we have to wait and have our engineers in place after lockdown. That's when we can deal with these issues. Members, I pray that you are genuinely looking at the problem we are in.
Thank you so much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the minister mentioning the word criminal is something very big. I'm imagining how a government, our government, in power, with police, with LODUs, can see criminals committing offenses and they sit down to wait for COVID to go away. When a fully-fledged government is watching criminals doing dubious activities. So, right, Honorable Speaker, is it in order for a minister to come here and tries to become mean with facts and say they cannot deal with criminals at this time? Is she in order, right, Honorable Speaker?
Honourable Minister, is the minister closed? The Ministry of Works, is it closed? Has the Ministry of Works closed?
We are working, but with skeleton workers. We are not fully at work.
But, Honourable Minister, is
right, Honourable Speaker, most of our workers don't have a way of coming to work until we are done with lockdown.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the point of concern here is the way the minister is actually making us more scared than what we thought. In my opinion, the minister should surely assure us that using the different systems within the government, we can be able to work despite the challenges at hand. Because we are not sure when this COVID is going away. It might take a year. And so it means with her statement that they are waiting until after COVID, that means we are in trouble. I think we need some more assurance from my minister of how best government is going to use the various possible means through our systems to make sure that we put a stop to the culprits that are going to lead us into trouble. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Minister, don't you consider that collapsing buildings constitute an emergency for which your ministry should take action, arrange for the engineers to move and go to the sites? Is it not an emergency in your view? And you also want to wait until lockdown has ended?
Madam Speaker.
I'm asking the minister here.
Right, Honourable Speaker, these are very technical things which need all the engineers to go and check on these collapsing buildings. Order. And the committees.
Order, right, Honourable Speaker. Order.
Order.
Order. Order, right, Honourable Speaker.
Order, Madam Speaker. Order, Madam Speaker.
Order, Honourable Ngom.
Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
I've risen on a point of order.
On this side.
Madam.
On this side first. Ngom.
Thank you so much, right, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've sat down there, and I think this is the third time you are picking the Minister for Works. And I think the House will attest to this. It looks our Minister for Works is not in charge. She is not in charge of our ministry. Madam Speaker, these houses that are collapsing, it's not the first time. Several of them, numerous houses, buildings are collapsing. And up to tomorrow, we expected her to tell us the owner of the building, the number of people that have died, the measures they're taking as a ministry. And she's talking of a lockdown. Madam Speaker, the ministry is fully working. And I'm wondering what she's trying to say. Madam Speaker, if she's not careful, then I think a responsible minister, another minister should come to answer this question if she's not ready to answer it. Thank you.
Tidia.
Right, Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Works. Right, Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Works
through her submission in front of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda, demonstrates some capacity and level of ministers we have in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, according to what I note, and Prime Minister Ndugurugunda, you have built your good profile, but I think the Minister of Works, whenever she's called here, she's off topic. Like today, she's totally off topic. The fact, Honorable Minister, I'm sorry that you are embarrassing your boss. When you can stand in front of the August House, the cream of leadership of Uganda, and you call investors who are building houses, who are creating jobs in our country, criminals. This is a shame. I therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, say we are not proceeding well because the minister does not understand why she's standing in front of the August House. And with this, the minister must take political responsibility for the people who died because she doesn't know what she's doing in her docket.
Let me hear from a former Minister of Works.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I respect what the Minister is saying, but I totally disagree with it. I'm sorry. Madam Speaker, what she's talking about, things are not on the ground. For example, the committee she's talking about, you come in KCCA, you find in a division, there's only one building inspector. That automatically cannot work. I worked in this thing, I know it. Yes. And when I was there for over a decade, no single building collapsed in Kampala. Yes, no single building collapsed. I know some of you don't know the boundary of Kampala well. Things happen in Namasuba and you may think it is in Kampala. But in the boundaries of Kampala, when I was in charge, no single building collapsed. Madam Speaker,
Order, members, order.
Madam Speaker, I would suggest and advise my colleague, the Minister, to ask for permission to come back later and give a reasonable, sensible response to this. Because what she's saying is totally is of no use to us here. Just wasting our time. I thank you.
Honorable Mbabazi and then Secretary Leko. Mbabazi first. Mbabazi and then Secretary Leko.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The problem we have, Right Honorable Speaker, is that we take everything to be like an emergency. The collapsing of buildings in this country is not the first time. So for the Honorable Minister to come here and tell us after the lockdown we are going to find solutions, we have all these regulations in place. What measures have you put in place to make sure that people follow these regulations so that people do not die? I thank you, Right Honorable.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Secretary Leko.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Whereas I'm not the minister responsible for that sector, as the chairperson of the Committee on Physical Infrastructure, I was concerned at the collapse of a number of buildings, and I did take an initiative to interact with the Executive Secretary of the Building Control Board. Madam Speaker, during that interaction, the lady told me that whereas the board was established a year ago, the funding they have is only meant for their wages. They do not have funds for operations. I would like to thank this Parliament for one reason, that when we were considering the appropriation bill for the next financial year, we made provision for 6 billion Uganda shillings to assist the board to operationalize their activities so that in the future we do not have building collapsing and all these accidents happening. I thought I should make that point, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, honourable members. Now, Minister, I think if your engineers are in their homes, you have the capacity to send them stickers so that they can come and meet you and help you to deal with this situation. So please do that and come back next week. Let me invite now item 4.4.
Item 4.4, weekly update on the activities of the National Task Force on COVID-19.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, honourable members, let me update you on the most talked about subject matter, and rightly so, by society, by Parliament, by the world. The burden of COVID-19 continues to rise globally, with over 5 million people confirmed to have had this problem, and 330,000 deaths being reported globally as of 20th of May, 2020. In Uganda, as of yesterday, we had 264 confirmed positive cases, majority of whom are truck drivers from neighboring countries. As the Honourable Minister of Health has been regularly informing this House and the country, out of the 264 positive cases, the truck drivers form the majority, and that is 191, which is 72.3%, while travelers, contacts, and alerts constitute 27.7%. They are just 73. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, because of the high risk that truck drivers are posing to the control of the pandemic, we have had to take additional measures to allow in the country only those truck drivers who test negative. We have also instituted rapid testing measures at various border points to fast-track the whole process. Right Honourable Speaker, to date, 65 patients have fully recovered from COVID-19 and have been discharged from various hospitals in the country. Currently, there are 80 COVID-19 active cases admitted again at different hospitals across the country, and they are all in stable condition. The country has not had any COVID-19 death, fortunately. Right Honourable Speaker, you will recall that since 18th of March 2020, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni announced 35 directives and guidelines aimed at preventing and controlling the spread of COVID-19 in the country. The President later announced a total lockdown of the country effective 1st of April 2020. The purpose of the lockdown was to suppress transmission by reducing the number of positive cases who were not detected. Right Honourable Speaker, the science behind lockdown is to ensure that each confirmed person infects less than one person on average. This interrupts the spread of the pandemic, also known as flattening the curve, and controls community transmission. I am pleased to inform this August House and the country at large that the lockdown measures have served and continue to serve the above objective. Our curve remains relatively flat, and if you exclude the case of truck drivers, it becomes even flatter. I would like to thank our frontline health workers for the tremendous work they are doing to track, test, and to manage the cases. I thank the law enforcement officers for ensuring public adherence to the directives and guidelines. I also want to thank the public for exhibiting a high level of compliance. The results we are witnessing in this fight are a collective function of very many stakeholders. And these, apart from those I have mentioned, include religious leaders, cultural leaders, Red Cross, and other civil society organizations, the media, development partners, and many others. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President for the strategic leadership in this fight. I also thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and members of this August House for the different roles you have played in supporting this fight. And by the way, the struggle continues. Let me also thank members of the National Task Force for fighting COVID-19, the district task forces, and the members of the National Response Fund for COVID-19 for the commendable work they are doing. Right Honourable Speaker, honourable colleagues, during the lockdown period, government has prepared 3,200 isolation beds and 378 ICU beds to handle the epidemic, the pandemic really, at the current rate of spread. The general breakdown of the above assets that have been assembled is as follows. Mulago National Specialized Hospital has 900 beds, 36 adult and 27 pediatric intensive care beds. The specialized Mulago Women's Hospital, it has 35 adult and 30 pediatric ICU beds. And number 3 is the 16 regional referral hospitals. Each has prepared 30 isolation beds, giving a total of these referral hospitals of 480 beds. Number 4 is that each regional referral hospital is also being equipped to have 10 ICU beds. 50 general hospitals will each provide 20 isolation beds. And number 6, is that 164 health centers will each provide 5 isolation beds. Right Honourable Speaker, in the lockdown period, government has also enhanced the capacity of the district forces to provide leadership and carry out surveillance and public awareness to ensure that the presidential directives and guidelines and information from the Ministry of Health and Government are adhered to. In addition, in order to build capacity, the Ministry of Health conducted an emergency recruitment of additional 447 staff to support the response in the districts. Government is also providing personal protection equipment for health workers. They may not have reached everywhere. It's a process going on. We have also intensified identification of imported cases through the land border crossing for both inbound truck drivers and also the illegal crossing across porous borders, like people walking from neighboring countries. Government is undertaking a rapid assessment to determine the possibility of community transmission, which is a much more serious phase of this pandemic. Right Honourable Speaker, colleagues, during this period, His Excellency the President has initiated special support for Ugandan scientists to enable them provide local solutions in the area of developing a vaccine, in the area of being able to develop diagnostics, how to diagnose this problem, and also in the area of drugs and treatment. In addition, we salute Ugandan entrepreneurs who are locally producing items that are needed in the control of this pandemic, especially now masks, protection clothing for health workers, and many other things are locally being produced and reducing our dependence on imported things from abroad. We can actually, with political and administrative support, produce many of these items. Sanitizers are now being exported from Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, they are being exported to a number of neighboring countries. Regarding funding for COVID-19 response, I would like to thank Parliament for passing this supplementary budget for this exercise. Different agencies of government are currently utilizing these resources and are expected to provide full accountability for these funds. Regarding provision of relief support to individuals and families most adversely affected by the lockdown measures, I'm pleased to inform you that government has so far delivered food to over 1.5 million people in Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono, and hospitals and orphanages across the country. If there are some gaps, if there are, Right Honourable Speaker, in the process of distribution, there may be gaps, and we will be more than happy to receive feedback so that these gaps can be closed. Right, Honorable Speaker, we had hoped and planned to have this exercise completed much faster. But initial logistical issues, procurement issues, and distribution challenges caused some delays. I would like to state that the provision of the relief food has been life-saving for very many people, and the reports we are receiving are positive. I thank all the people who are involved in this exercise for the good work that they have done. Right, Honorable Speaker, some concerns have been raised in some circles regarding the quality of food and the food relief that is being distributed. I would like to inform this august House that government takes this issue very seriously. And it was precisely for this reason that the Uganda National Bureau of Standards was brought on board to test and certify food before government procures it from the suppliers to ensure that the food is indeed fit for human consumption. Where reports and allegations of poor quality of food supplied have been received, government will, and in a number of cases, is already investigating these reports. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 8th of April 2020, His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni announced the establishment of the National Response Fund to COVID-19. It is led at a political level by Honorable Mary Karoro Krut, the Minister for General Duties in the Office of the Prime Minister. The team, which comprises respected Ugandans, is chaired by Mr. Emmanuel Katongole, the chairman of Cipla Quality Chemicals, which you know, which is based at Ruzira. To date, the fund has received donations worth 28 billion shillings in cash and in kind. The in-kind contributions include assorted food items, medical supplies, and some non-food items. The target of the fund is to raise 170 billion and 10 motor vehicles for each district. In addition, 65 vehicles have so far been donated to the fund, with 45 of these vehicles already deployed in various districts. For clarity, the breakdown of the donations so far made is as follows. Cash, 15 billion. Goods in kind, 13 billion. Vehicles, 65. The assorted food items have been utilized to respond to distress calls from different groups in dire need, including hospitals, orphanages, and homesteads, while medical supplies have been delivered to the Ministry of Health for distribution across the country. His Excellency the President has guided that he will soon meet the committee, the fund committee, to agree on the utilization of the funds. The principal focus is strengthening the capacity of the health systems and the health sector. The Minister for General Duties in the Office of the Prime Minister will, at an appropriate time, come to this august House and give a more detailed statement on the fund. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to salute this team for mobilizing Ugandans and all people of goodwill to respond to the President's call to support the fight against COVID-19. Right Honourable Speaker, colleagues, I would like to thank Ugandans and friends of Uganda for the generosity they are showing to this fundraising drive. This drive has demonstrated the solidarity of Ugandans for a cause that unites all of us. I salute all those who have made donations and appeal to many more to support this just cause. I would like to assure all Ugandans that the donations will be put to the right cause. Every shilling will be accounted for, and information will be readily available to the public. Right Honourable Speaker, on the matter of Ugandans stuck abroad and stressed abroad in different countries due to the global lockdown, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is working through our missions abroad to explore ways of handling this issue. The modalities are complex because of the global lockdown and closure of many airports and also many airlines closed around the world. A detailed presentation on this matter will be made to this August House by the responsible minister. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, as His Excellency the President announced 2 days ago, we are continuing to move towards a cautious easing of the lockdown to enable Ugandans go back to work while observing the key preventive measures such as hand washing with soap, maintaining social distance, avoiding crowded places, and compulsory wearing of face masks and sanitizing. As the President communicated, the move to manufacture face masks is on now and is on course. And there is commitment to provide Ugandans above the age of 6 with masks. And many companies, small and big, women's groups, youth groups, are now deployed and busy manufacturing these masks. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, to ease the process and procurement and requirement, it has been agreed that the Ministry of Health provides guidelines on approved face masks so that Ugandans can buy their own face masks from manufacturers and people who are selling the authorized ones. Once individuals have their approved masks, they can start using private vehicles effective 26th of May 2020, as His Excellency the President has already announced. The driving of private vehicles shall follow the other standards and guidelines, including not being more than 3 people in one vehicle. The reference on the use of private vehicles excludes the border districts for reasons already given out by His Excellency the President. On education, Right Honourable Speaker, the responsible ministry, working with the Ministry of Health, is developing standard operating procedures to guide the next steps so that when our children in finalist classes, when they come, they are properly guided on how to travel and how to behave. As the President communicated, easing of public transport will come at a later stage on 4th of June 2020, we will use this period to continue monitoring the situation. Right Honourable Speaker, as we look forward towards the post-lockdown period, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will come to this August House to make a statement on the economy. In conclusion, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank you once again for your continued support in this fight, and of course the honourable members of the House as well. We are making good progress. Let us keep up this momentum. Together, we will defeat COVID-19 and all its effects. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, for that update on the COVID situation. We shall have a few comments. However, Prime Minister, yesterday a matter was raised here that the landing sites from Ntoroko up to Pakwach, the citizens have been asked to leave, and that they have been asked to leave tonight. First of all, tonight is curfew, and we also don't know where they are going. So I want to appeal to you, Prime Minister, to hold that exercise of forcing people to move at night during curfew to a place we don't know. All those landing sites, Ntoroko to Pakwach. We are hoping for a ministerial statement next week, but they are told go today evening. So I don't know how they can move during the curfew and where they are going. Prime Minister.
Well, Right Honourable Speaker, this must be in connection with the floods and flooding of certain areas, or is it connection with the refugees? I think let's get more information, then we will answer the matter.
Honourable Onesimus is here.
Right Honourable Speaker, government made a decision to displace 68 villages right from Ntoroko up to Pakwach, those that stay near the landing sites. And Right Honourable Speaker, the reason the government gives is that they are trying to avoid the cross-border intrusion from the Congolese who enter Ugandan side along Lake Albert there. And Madam Speaker, government gave an ultimatum of 48 hours, which are ending tonight. And as we talk, soldiers have already been deployed along Lake Albert to begin the operation tonight. And people have nowhere to go, Right Honourable Speaker. There's no any package arranged to really help these people when they are being displaced. There's no any arrangement. We are all in darkness. And these are villages which are existing legally with the stamps, with the local council leadership and government institutions, including schools and health centers. So, Honourable Speaker, yesterday I prayed that government holds this operation of displacing people from their villages, not until there is a clear position given by government, and of course explaining all the details in regard to this displacement of people. And the reason they give is because of this coronavirus pandemic. Stopping Congolese from entering Uganda because of coronavirus pandemic. Yet government could actually deploy soldiers to guard the borders. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Prime Minister, that's the situation.
Right Honourable Speaker, this is an important matter requiring better understanding and more information, and seeing where this directive came from and its rationale. So this is a matter we are taking seriously, and we are going to take appropriate measures depending on what we find out.
Okay. Oh. Ntoroko? No, this was a statement on COVID.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The clarification I would like to seek from the Right Honourable Prime Minister. The matter the colleague raised is that these people are going to be displaced even today, this evening. We appreciate that the Right Honourable Prime Minister may not have adequate information about it, and therefore is going to get information and then probably guide on how to go about it. But how about the imminent displacement of today? I would have expected the Prime Minister to tell us about the imminent displacement. Are you ordering to stop that displacement as you get more information on where the orders came from? Because those who are going to be displaced today, where are they going? I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
And also why they should be evicted during the curfew. Where are they being taken during the curfew? Jessica, and then Kenneth. Coming like this. I'm coming.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity, and I want to thank the Prime Minister for the update. I have an inquiry first on the issue of the districts, which are the borders. We got a clear instruction that even when the lockdown is fairly lifted, we shall be under a total lockdown. So is there a special consideration for us? If I remember it well, it is going to affect 40 districts in this country. To Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Prime Minister talked about the guidelines which are going to come out over the masks. Right Honourable Prime Minister, many initiatives have taken off, people already producing masks, and therefore injecting the little they have. Therefore, I have that interest that this is handled very fast so that people will not waste their monies in producing things which will not be within the standards and waste a lot of more monies that they can use in other areas. Right Honourable Prime Minister, we are happy that Adjuman District was given a vehicle, but up to now we have not received. We want to know why the delays, but also the food given to orphanages. We have 4 orphanages, and we have not received food in those orphanages. So we need also clarification and urgent attention. Lastly, in the areas of special interest group, I propose that religious institutions be considered, Right Honourable Prime Minister. For example, the Catholic Church, where we have the leaders who are not allowed to be in their families. They are at missions, and now they are not. Therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, I request that all the missions be given some support in terms of food at this point. Thank you so much.
Honourable, then Sozi. Well, I don't know whose face that one is. I cannot see. I can't recognize your face.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And I want to thank you, Right Honourable Prime Minister, for updating the country on what's going on. But I have some few issues I would want you to clarify or to comment on. Number one is you have given us the status that we have recorded 264 cases. You have also told us that 65 have recovered, and we have got 80 active cases. I want to know what the status is for the 119 that are not accounted for this number. Because we have active 80, recovered 65. What about the 119 out of the 264? Second, Right Honourable Prime Minister, is on the food distribution. When we were approving monies for this food, we were informed that the food distribution of 6 kilograms per person will be for 30 days. And if I'm not, I'm sure that the 30 days have since elapsed. And the intention was that because these people are not working, I mean, they must survive. Now, here we are. The 30 days are over. The presumption is that the food is over, and it must have been even over before the 30 days. What is happening to see that people get the second phase of supply of the food? My third comment is on the approved masks that you have talked about for people to use private cars. Right now, Speaker, I think government should consider a situation where private cars can be used if it is only one occupant with a mask. Because if I'm only alone in my car, what is the danger on that? It is like somebody who is riding his motorcycle. So I think government needs to consider a situation where, before probably even we get approved masks, we may not get them in time.
Sozi? But, Honourable Prime Minister, before the approved masks come, are you going to arrest us for wearing other masks? Are you going to arrest us for wearing other masks before the approved one comes? Honourable Sozi?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and thank you, Right Honourable, for your update. The information I want to start with, one, on the list of the people you responded to, where you distributed the food, you said orphanages and those other people. I also want to remind you that there are also special interventions like the one from Buyukwe district, where you responded to us and gave us 21,000 kilograms of maize flour. So you can add that on the list you may be forgetting. Right Honourable Speaker, yesterday I returned my 20 million to the district. And they requested me on whether they can spend the 20 million from the source. Section 29 of the Public Finance Management Act, Order 2020, it reads, collection and deposit of revenue and retention of revenue. Clause 3, a vote, state enterprise or public corporation shall retain revenue collected or received where the revenue is a monetary grant exempted by the minister. Under this, can they spend the 20 million at source in that they are more close to the people on ground? Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Honourable Dulu, then Angura, Baba. I'm coming this side. I'm coming.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on Friday, I was in our meeting of the district, and I have this to tell our Prime Minister. Right on our Prime Minister, our people are getting a lot of problems from the refugees. And when they are got crossing from Sudan to our country here, on arresting them, UNHCR does not like them to be quarantined, which I believe they have not yet understood fully, because this is done for our own safety. So my request to you is, perhaps you have to call upon the UNHCR representative sitting here in Kampala, so that you explain how serious this matter is, and once those people are arrested, they should be allowed to be quarantined. Apart from that, I am wondering if these people have come here for safety simply because their place is not safe enough. I wonder why they should continuously keep rotating either here in the country or the other side. And I think the law there is very, very clear. If there is any indication that the place is safe enough for them to be habited there, then they should have to be repatriated. That is it. Secondly, the issue of food distribution. I don't know how you look at it, because it's like we have two different categories of refugees. There are those refugees who obediently stay where they are taken to settlements. But there are those who stay across, and when they hear of the day of food distribution is when they come back with their cards. Right on, Prime Minister, how are we going to handle this? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Angura, then Baba, then Kibaria, then go at the back there. Is that Lanyero? Okay. I'm coming this side.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I just have two issues that I want to raise. Number one, you know that I represent a border constituency, and to be very specific, Malaba, which is the main entry point to this country. Today, as I speak, Right Honorable Prime Minister, the measures that were instituted by government of testing the drivers at the border, we think is good for all of us, but the congestion that has been caused there is so unprecedented that all roads are now choked up. And we thought that this was going to take a very short time for drivers to be released to go. But Right Honorable Prime Minister, it is so bad that the drivers are interacting with the community. I want to be very specific on that. And all we should expect now is the community to be touched up. And I want to assure you, if we don't take extra measures, we are going to be in a big mess. Then information.
Right Honorable Speaker, Mr. Prime Minister, I would like to inform the country, according to what my colleague has said, that the border districts are receiving the same budget like other districts. Moreover, our quarantine centers have a big population of people, we being on the front line, and we really need government to address that matter. Secondly, right now, all the people who are taken to quarantine centers in Tororo are carried on police pickups as if they are criminals. Where are the vehicles? The fact Kenyans are laughing at us when they see on NTV we carrying people and on the pickups to the quarantine center. Then the food given, I would like to inform that the food,
let's be brief, we are many.
The food given to the quarantine centers is almost the same food like they give to Iganga with the 2 people in the quarantine center. Moreover, in Busia we have like 150. At Prime Minister, lastly, let me take this opportunity. The people of Busia market, since the lockdown, the food that was for sale is still in the market, and beans, sorghum, and everything is rotting. Why don't you allow our people to get out their food and sell or eat?
Thank you very much for smuggling what I had wanted to say. But Right Honorable Prime Minister, we need a special package for very busy districts and border points. In terms of security facilitation, they are overstretched, and also in terms of the general budget that is being given to the rest of the districts. Our people are overstretched. We are forced at times to support even the police in helping them fuel the motorcycles to improve on the surveillance. And then too, we need food for the community there. Our people are anchored on cross-border trade. Now that there's everything has come to a standstill, let's avoid the sex workers from going back to interact with these drivers and other people, which will cause us more problem. So let food be given to those people to avoid interaction that will lead us to more problem. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Member, I hope you will not be arrested for acting like a purchasing officer in buying fuel and other things. You should not. Honorable Baba, but members, let's have 1 minute, just 1 minute. We are so many. 1 minute, we are so many.
Right Honorable Speaker and the Right Honorable Prime Minister, I want to thank you for your statement. I also want to thank His Excellency the President for guiding us well and protecting us like a father, like a leader. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I have one major issue. I come from Koboko, a border district one of the 40 still under complete lockdown. Our biggest worry is the chaos in South Sudan right now. I've happened to farm in a parish called Nyambiri, right at the border with South Sudan along River Kaya. Every night we hear heavy gunshots across the border of people possibly fighting. And South Sudanese are trying to come. The security officers are trying their best to prevent, but the borders are very porous. Mr. Prime Minister, the attention in South Sudan now is not so much about COVID-19. Their worry is about how to defeat this rebellion, this fighting there. And therefore, the people are exposed to this pandemic. Nobody knows the numbers, and our biggest fear is that all these efforts now the government is making to protect Ugandans may be cancelled if we have an influx of infected people from South Sudan coming to Uganda. My prayer, therefore, is, can we have more security placed at the border? My prayer is, can we have regular rollout so that the soldiers are changed every 3 days or every so often so that they are not...
Honourable member, please. 1 minute.
Lastly...
No. You've had more than 3 minutes, please. 1 minute, please. Just important things. No preambles.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the nurses at Jinja Referral Hospital have threatened to strike. It's good the Minister of Health is here and the Prime Minister is here. The Busoga Regional Hospital nurses have threatened to strike. They may be striking today or tomorrow. Second, the Right Honourable Speaker, payment. They have asked why. They have said payment since COVID started, they have not been helped. The second issue, Right Honourable Speaker, I wish the Prime Minister to take interest in the police officers' payment since COVID began for Chira. I stay in Chireka. Whenever you move around, you interact with those police officers. The payment that we passed in supplementary, they got half of what they were supposed to. Right Honourable Speaker, the Prime Minister has said that they are going to
Danyero, then Muyanja, I'm coming now. Danyero, then Muyanja, okay, submit, you have been also standing. But move nearer to the chairs so that you don't take too much time. Then I'll come the rest of you. 1 minute, please. John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I came back from Lamour yesterday. I want to thank the Right Honourable Speaker for the report that he has given us. Madam Speaker, last week we had clashes in Lamour where clans rose up against each other, and there were burning of houses and hacking of other people because of land conflicts. As I speak now, Right Honourable Speaker, 250 homesteads have no homes and they have no food because their huts were burnt down. Last time I raised the issue of homes that were washed away by floods. And right now we have an additional 250 families that have nowhere to sleep and have nothing to eat. My request, Madam Speaker, is that as we maintaining the lockdown, I request the Prime Minister, Madam Speaker.
Please conclude.
I'm requesting for food and tents for the 250 families that have nowhere to sleep, especially during this rainy season. Thank you very much.
Honorable Muyanja. Honorable Sabit, please come to the podium quickly. Sabit, because you are wasting a lot of time. Then,
thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
And,
Right Honourable Speaker.
Santa first.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister told us clearly that schools will open after new guidelines. To my surprise, Right Honourable Speaker, on most of our phones now, we are getting new guidelines talking of August, even now saying primary 7 or other classes will have a dead year. Can we get clear clarification about that? And lastly, Right Honourable Speaker, is about to the Kome people who are, most of them are submerged in their areas. They promised that the Prime Minister's office is going to visit Kome, but up to today, not even any message, neither the district COVID task force has ever responded to Kome.
Honorable Sabiti, 1 minute. Then Santa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, last year, this House in August, it passed a resolution about the impediments which are making Ugandans poor. And they are very many. And the situation has become worse. And one of the areas that was looked at were mining leaseholders who were prevented from exporting their products because of export permits. And these are employing more than 20,000 artisans, and most of them are young people, and these ones have become very poor with the coming of COVID-19. Right Honorable Prime Minister, my question is, what is the position of government on these companies which have not been exporting for all of the period that COVID-19 has been in place? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Santa, then Utamagusi. I'm coming.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to thank the Prime Minister for the achievements so far the National Task Force team has done. But, Madam Speaker, Oyam District is at the crossroads. And, Madam Speaker, the National Task Force has requested Oyam District for help to go up to Elego to evacuate the COVID cases. But, Madam Speaker, we have only one ambulance in the district, and this ambulance is being shared by the COVID-19 cases, the expectant mother, and other patients. And, Madam Speaker, Kamdini is also a center where many of these truck drivers are intercepted. Even yesterday, Madam Speaker, at around 10, a COVID case patient was intercepted in Kamdini. And because of this confusion and this tension, the patient remained in Kamdini up to today morning, and it brought a lot of tension and anxiety. So my request,
Members should just be quick. Just be quick.
My request, Madam Speaker, is that we need the ambulance to handle these COVID cases who are being transferred to Lira Treatment Center. I thank you.
Now, Tamaguzi. Then Okorimoi. Okorimoi Mutonyi. Ruchiga. I'm coming. I've seen you.
I want to thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, and I want to thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister for the statements he's made. Right Honourable Speaker, we passed 59 billions to buy food for Ugandans. I remember early on, Right Honourable Speaker, you had stopped the distribution of food, not until they had made some organized way of distributing it, until when we heard that the government had started on the process. Right Honourable Speaker, I don't come from Wakiso, I don't come from Kampala, I don't come from Mukono, I come from I come from Nakaseke. Are people of Nakaseke excluded? Aren't they Ugandans from food distribution? Because I only hear the Prime Minister talking about Wachiso and his team, talking about Wachiso and Mukono. Maybe I think even Kamuri, where Right Honourable Speaker you come from. Aren't they Ugandans? When will they receive food? Because they are also supposed to be part on these 59 billions, Right Honourable Speaker, we passed. Then secondly, I laughed, Right Honourable Speaker, when I heard the scientific numbers of the people, the recipients of food the Right Honourable Prime Minister was reading. I don't think that the food has been distributed to that number, Right Honourable Prime Minister, you have read. Very many Ugandans, including in Kampala, have not received food. Okay, 1 minute, Right Honourable Speaker.
No, you've used your minute. You have used your minute. You have used actually two. Honourable Korimoy, let's hear from Abim. Then we shall have Honourable Mutonyi. Don't know where she has gone. Honourable Mutonyi.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister for his statement. Right Honourable Speaker, Prime Minister, I would have loved to hear you tell us how the food you claim was given to the hospitals across the country was given. Because as members of parliament who come from these districts, we can also help you to do oversight. Because when you say food was taken to hospitals, and yet I was in a Abim hospital just a week ago and I did not see any food, then it means the message is to whom it may concern. I am happy that the Parliamentary Committee on Health is in Abim today. Right now they are in the local radio in Abim and they will bring facts which are on the ground.
Honourable Mutonyi. Mutonyi, then I think there was Aja. Aja, Okabe. Who said is this? This is
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We're going to be fast. 1 minute. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I want to inform the Prime Minister that Manafa is not one of the border districts. It was before Namisindwa was removed, but now it's Namisindwa, not Manafa. Secondly, Madam Speaker, Honourable Chivalia talked about Jinja Hospital. There is a video on the social media showing how bad the situation is. We have been proud that we have not lost anybody, but what is going on the social media is that we may lose our people because of the nurses not being remunerated. An ambulance came, they called the nurses. You can even hear what they are saying. They said, we are not going there, and there are a crowd of them in their uniforms, that attire. They said, we are not going there, we are not going to die for nothing. They promised us 80,000 per day. We have not received this money. So he said, we are not going to attend to that patient. So the situation is not as simple as it looks. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honourable Aja. Now what? Now what? Then Caroline. You know, with your
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Huh?
Okay. Right Honourable Speaker, Right Honourable Prime Minister, I want to thank you for the statement and what government has done so far. But Right Honourable Speaker, I would want to know whether the Prime Minister received the letter that we wrote from Kabale District and Kabale Municipality in particular concerning the landslides that happened there, because most of the families lost food in the houses. Some of the houses were hit by the landslides, and people don't have where to sleep, don't have food to eat in areas of Rushachi, in areas of Rushoroza, in areas of your own home area in Bugonji. People are suffering seriously. Yes, Right now, Prime Minister, I want to thank you. There is some food relief you brought on your own, not for government, that you brought on your own, and which we also, other politicians did bring in. But it's not enough at all. People don't have food to eat. Every day calls are coming to my phone. My phone has turned into an ATM. All the time they are asking me to give them something to eat, even today, and yet I no longer have money to keep giving them. Madam Prime Minister, we want this relief food to also reach Kaba.
Oh, now what? Now what? Ruchiga? I think I saw Kabe there. I've seen you. I've seen you. I've seen you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the 164 health center force that will be provided with 5 isolation beds, there are districts with only 1 health center for, and I would like to call upon government to consider health center 3s, some health center 3s. In the case of Amudat district, for example, with only 1 health center for, and on these 447 staff recruited, there are districts with low staffing levels, like Amudat is at 25%. So consideration should be given to districts with low staffing levels so that we have the medical staff to be on standby. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Caroline. Then we have, I think we have, yes, Atat will come. Okabe, you go and do the queue.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister for the statement. Right Honorable Prime Minister, my request is one, I will just get to the point. The cars, you talked about the cars being given out, Ruchiga being the border. I'm wondering why we never got a car. And due to heavy rains, it's impossible now. If it's not a 4-wheel drive, driving to Kamwez, Right Honorable Speaker, it's impossible. And you know, being a porous border, many people from Rwanda keep coming to our country. My request is we need a car to Kamwez, being a border. Then the next question, Right Honorable Prime Minister. We've heard candidates are going back to school, but there is one question I'm asking myself. We have students from different countries.
Honorable Gwal.
We have students from different countries. What's their fate? How are they going to?
Honorable Gwal. Ogwal. Then I think there was Okabe. Kajinda. I think the workers. Kunihira. I'm coming. I've seen you. Let's use just 1 minute each.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I have been anxiously waiting for the Prime Minister to specifically tell us how much, and both in terms of cash and the quantity in terms of vehicle and other items that has already been received by the National Task Force, so that we know what gap we have in our budget for managing COVID. Secondly, we were expecting the Prime Minister to give us a guideline for the procurement of the mask. Now we are left with 10 days to supply masks for all Ugandans. Yesterday, the minister could not convince us that within the next 10 days, the mask will be ready. What is the procurement procedure? How much is the mask? Where are the specifications for those women groups in Dokolo who want to participate? Finally,
Honorable Kabe, then we shall have Kajinda Sevagara. I've seen it. I'm going to get that to play.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And Right Honorable Minister, the National Task Force is busy raising money to buy 10 vehicles per four-wheel drive vehicles for each district. Are you aware of the priorities of this country? There are no ambulances in the districts, hospitals. There are not enough beds in hospitals. Women are delivering on the floor. Could this money that we are raising be used to strengthen and to improve the healthcare system of this country instead of buying four-wheel drive vehicles? These four-wheel drive vehicles will be carrying goods They will be carrying bricks. They will be carrying grass for cows. Please let us be aware of the priorities of this country. Please, can you explain why you are raising 10 vehicles per each district? Thank you.
Honorable Kajinda, Prime Minister, as you deal with the vehicles on behalf of the island districts, I want to know whether there is any ambulance, boat ambulance for the island districts. With this money you are collecting, I think you need to address that and give the islanders their transport. Honorable Kajinda.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Actually, my question is related to one of my colleague, Honorable Kabi. Right Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Prime Minister, you have told us that so far you have received 65 vehicles. And the 65 vehicles, you have given out some vehicles to some respective districts. My question is, which criteria are you using in giving out those vehicles? Because, for example, in Rukunjiri, we have requested for 3 vehicles, and you have promised that you are going to give us those vehicles. But up to now, we don't have any vehicle, and it is one of the districts, within the borders of this country. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
So, Honorable Sabagara, Kunihira, Riomoki, Mpuga, then I come to the others behind.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. There are 2 questions. Right Honorable Prime Minister, the country would like to know how much has been budgeted for the masks. Because when we are planning with budget, how much are we going to spend on masks as a country? And 2, as we open up schools, is there any arrangement? Because the parents have been under lockdown for the last 2 months, is there any arrangement where the government is going to support parents and even institutions? Because right now when they go back as candidate classes, they are going to request for registration fees for UNEV and other tertiary institutions. Is there any arrangement how the government is going to support or to put in place mechanism that parents can be allowed to continue, or the students?
Kunihira. Then after Kunihira, we'll have Honorable Bakelo, she's on Zoom.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My question to the Right Honorable Prime Minister is he aware that a number of teachers are losing jobs, mostly in the private schools? And currently, from what you have mentioned here, they are not going to open soon apart from the candidate classes. What program does government have to help teachers from private schools to ensure that maybe they can earn salary or have salary considered by government, or even providing them food? Because they are at schools, they are suffering, and the employers cannot afford, because they pay according to school when they have earned school fees. Now that even the lower classes are not going to open soon, how are you considering as government to help this category of workers? Thank you.
Zoom in on Honorable Lucy Akelo. The Akelo who is here is Franca, but the Lucy in on Lucy Akelo. Then Honorable Yomoki will come.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, the question I have for the Prime Minister is, one, I was in Amuru attending the district task force meeting. One of the issues that came out very strongly was the issue of the 20 so Ugandans who are locked up in the no man's land between South Sudan and Uganda. So what is the plan for such people? And if they are going to be picked from there, where are they going to be quarantined? Because Amuru district does not now have the capacity to quarantine so many people because of the many cases that are coming up. Secondly, I want to appreciate government for giving us some vehicles that is helping with the transportation of of samples from Elegu border to Entebbe. Madam Speaker, through you, and the question I also have for the Prime Minister is, when are they going to give additional support in terms of transportation so that work is made easy? And then secondly, when is Elegu getting the mobile testing vehicle that was promised by the Ministry of Health? Otherwise, I want to thank the Prime Minister, and I pray that you continue doing work equally for the same for everyone in the country. I have people who are asking for food, especially the clergy. So what plans for them? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, Honorable Riomoki. Then Mpuga.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister for the sort of the feedback to us. But I was also standing here to find out, and maybe your guidance, Right Honorable Speaker, as a committee, a subcommittee of Parliament, we have gone around the whole country and we gave a preliminary report. And yesterday, when the chair was laying this report on the table, you had told us that the Right Honorable Speaker, Prime Minister, will comment on it, because I have been told that this report was submitted to the National Committee for review, because it raises a lot of fundamental issues, and our intention was to be complementary. We didn't want to raise a debate here. Postmortem wanted really to find that these issues are fed into the response. There are a lot of gaps on the ground, because we have moved most of the health units, and we see a lot of gaps on the ground. And we had thought that there would be a response to guide us so that we don't have a debate here, full-fledged debate. So, Right Honourable Speaker and Right Honourable Prime Minister, how are we guiding us? Because we have a lot of issues, a lot of gaps, which we thought would be resolved so that we can be able to be of use in terms of the support to the response. Thank you very much, Right Honourable.
I don't know why the Prime Minister has not commented on. Perhaps he will let us know. But I think you also should come and bring the matter here when you complete your report. Come and then we discuss it. Honourable Mpuga.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Two brief issues to the Prime Minister. Right Honourable Prime Minister, on the 4th of June, public transport will be roaring animals at half capacity. Are you triangulating the cost-push inflation that will be out of the cost of public transport going up because of operational capacity, and the cost set to, especially to parents, will be taking children to school at a double the cost of transport? For example, by considering the cost of fuel that will go into the raised cost of transport. Two, when we raised money for food relief for Kampala and surroundings, we're looking at other urban centers other than Kampala that have the same problem, because the same issues that engendered relief to Kampala apply to other urban centers like Masaka City. Are they a forgotten lot? Out other options?
Fungaro, Wairo Majegere. Fungaro, Wairo Majegere, Ongom. Then we have Muzanira, Akelo. One minute. We'll get everybody. One minute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Prime Minister, thank you. But honorable members, I think we should draw lines where we should be able to recognize where the government has failed. We hear complaints about people not receiving allowances, police, nurses, etc., etc. So, Honorable Prime Minister, who are the people you are paying? Food. The deadline for distribution of food has passed the 30 days, and food has not reached. Obongi has not reached those rural districts. Yet you need to give round 2 in Kampala. So when do we know that the government has failed and we get an alternative for people to take over? Because there must be milestones of measuring success and failure. And Right Honourable Prime Minister, please, let's...
Honourable Majegere.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, my concern is on food relief. People living on landing sites, especially in Mayuge, on the landing site of Bugoto, Musubi, and Nabyama, they were hit by a three-way tragedy. One, the effects of the COVID-19. Two, the effects of the rising levels of Lake Victoria. So many families were forced out of their homes. Three, the third tragedy is that their boats were destroyed by UPDF in the middle of this coronavirus. So, Right Honorable Prime Minister, my request is that you consider even this category of people living on the islands, on the landing sites, especially Bugoto landing site, Musubi, and Nabyama. I thank you.
Then, who is this one?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Minister.
Ongeto.
Thank you. I just want to put this to the Minister, that the Budget Committee gave 59 billion shillings, and so many donations have been given in terms of food. What have you used the money, the 59 billion for? Then two, Madam Speaker, Lira District seems to be having the highest patients in the north. We have so far to date 12 patients, but we don't have ambulance, especially that one that is partitioned and ready to collect the sick people. Madam Speaker, especially the COVID patients. Madam Speaker, I would like to know from the Minister when Lira shall receive an ambulance. Then three, there is nurses. I would wish the Minister could relax the guideline for the resources that they have sent to the district. The nurses that are treating the COVID patients are being stigmatized in their own homes. They need to be put in an isolation for some time so that they can be accepted home. But money has guidelines and they cannot utilize it down there to help the nurses. Can he say something about it? Then the local council ones, Madam Speaker, they are the first point of contact, but they are not being facilitated, no airtime, no transport. What is the Minister going to say about this? Thank you.
Honorable Musanira, Frank Akelo, then we have Aringa, Honorable Ashraf Atiku Ongeto, then I take the last group here.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And thank you, Right Prime Minister, for your updates on COVID-19. However, on the matter of the displaced people of Ntoroko, you told us that you are not yet aware. And now that you are aware, why can't you tell them to stop people from moving without knowing where they are going, so that you plan and organize to get them a place where they will settle? Secondly, Madam Speaker, since I qualified in 1990 as a teacher, I have been teaching in private schools. Private is private. The teachers are suffering. And now that the lockdown is going to ease on the candidate classes only.
Honorable Franca.
We need to plan for these teachers and the people.
You have record. Honorable Franca, then Ashraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Then
and thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Honorable Prime Minister, you said food distribution has been in all in hospitals across the country, but Agago district has not yet received such. I am asking, when are you taking the food for Kalongo Hospital and Patongo Health Center which cater for the two counties in Agago district? Two, Right Honorable Prime Minister, last week the Honorable Minister of Education said learning materials would reach every pupil or every student in all villages across the country by last week. But I haven't seen such, Honorable Prime Minister. When are the learners going to receive this, since it is only candidates that will...
Okay. Honorable Ashraf Atiku Ongeto, then Noordin, Ongalo, Yandara, Bare, and
Madam Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, my country, even this is the border in Sudan, and we are overwhelmed by the movement of refugees from Sudan to settlements in Uganda. They keep moving to and fro, and deployment there is not sufficient. Madam Speaker, can the Prime Minister ensure that more troops are deployed at that border? From Koboko up to almost, Lego, deployment is not enough. So we're worried that we can be overwhelmed by this COVID-19. What can be done to arrest the situation? Secondly, people are actually suffering because they can't now do work. People have finished everything because now it is a period where people are planting. Can the government think of giving some people some food? Because people are there desperate. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Atiku Ongeto, then Noelin Ongalo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister, for the update. Madam Speaker, I will sit on the National Task Force on your behalf, and we have so far toured about 4 border points and border districts. There are 3 key issues, Madam Speaker, which the Prime Minister should respond to. Is in regard to facilitation for the security team at the border points. In the Mutukula, there is the issue of vehicles that is required and motorcycles. The same in Mirama. The whole of Mirama does not have a vehicle. In Kanungu, Ishasha border, no vehicle, no motorcycle, and yet these are all porous borders, Madam Speaker. The security team, particularly the RDCs who are chairing the task forces, district task forces, raise these concerns which the Prime Minister should respond.
Okay.
The second issue, Madam Speaker.
Oh. We're using 1 minute.
Yes, this is very...
Okay, 1 minute too, because he's representing us on the committee. 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The issue of testing and getting results first before the drivers come in. You realize that not all the border points have already received the GeneXpert machines. And we are told the cartridges that are required to test the COVID samples are not yet in the country. Can the Prime Minister assure us when these cartridges will be available so that all the border points test the samples and give the drivers results within an hour before they are allowed to proceed with their travels? Thank you.
Neto. Then Nawalin. Then I think there was Obote, Yandara. Please come and queue on this side. Now Yandara, come and queue.
Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Ongalo,
and
Obote.
Right Honorable
come
Speaker.
On this side. Yes.
Prime Minister, the whole of West Nile, the districts are having borders with the other countries. And
But
that means the whole of West Nile.
Social distance.
That means the whole of West Nile, there will be no public transport even
Social
when
distance.
that is eased. I'm concerned particularly about our children who are in P7, Senior 4, and Senior 6. When the time comes that they should go back to school, how are they going to travel? Then number 2, Right Honorable Prime Minister, are we admitting that our security forces cannot control and maintain the borders to the extent that we can weed out people
okay.
from outside? So that our transport can be also eased.
Okay, Noelin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Right Honorable Prime Minister, you mentioned in the statement that the Minister of Health is going to give guidelines on the masks. We needed these masks guidelines yesterday because the public, our small entrepreneurs are already producing masks and they don't have guidelines and there is no consumer protection. So we need them, since the Minister of Health is here, we will be happy to hear when they are going to be brought to us. And on the COVID response fund, Right Honourable Prime Minister, in my district in Kibale, out of the 13 sub-counties, 7 do not have any health center, not even a health center 2 or health center 3. Why can't we use part of this money to address such critical health needs in our communities? I will appreciate. And lastly, on the production.
Honourable Obote, then Viandara.
Right Honourable Prime Minister, I do request that
observe social distance.
you give special consideration to Kalaki district. It's a new district without an ambulance, with only one vehicle in good working condition. It has no RDC. The only RDC we have is the one we are sharing with Kabramaido, and he has no assistant. He's alone. Kabramaido is the nearest hospital to Kalaki, and the road from Bululu to Kabramaido has been totally submerged. There is no access to hospital and people are dying. Thank you very much.
Honourable Yandara, then after that we zoom in Honourable Mutebi before Honourable Mbua comes.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, and I think the Prime Minister. The first thing, Madam Speaker, the social distancing distance of 4 meters. Internationally, where I've seen the distance is 2 meters. Even here, there is no vehicle in Uganda which is 4 meters wide. Can't we follow the other countries and say the social distancing is 2 meters and not 4? Secondly, when they closed down, people who were waiting to go to the universities, private sponsored, they went in places where they have no connections with those universities. Those universities say they have closed applicants. Can the Prime Minister tell us what is going to happen? Those Ugandans who hadn't applied because of the lockdown. Lastly, we haven't yet got the vaccine for this COVID-19. Is the government making a
zoom in on Honourable Mutebi? Honourable Mutebi, as Honourable Mbua arranges. We are not Mutebi on Zoom. Yes, please speak.
Hello. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the Prime Minister for the update that he has given. However, today in Muyuko, we have registered the first 2 domestic cases of coronavirus, and we have an imminent threat of drivers that are coming through Lugazi Sugar Factory to pick sugar. So I would like the Prime Minister to make some intervention to find the best way of managing these drivers that are coming in and they are times staying overnight before getting back. The problem may escalate. We have got the first 2 cases today.
Thank you. Honourable, 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I wish to ask the Prime Minister, as we know we are in lockdown, we've been encouraged that our students, our children should study from TVs, radios, but Right Honourable Prime Minister, I wish to bring to your attention that children of police officers, mainly in Zambia, they are not studying. Reason being, power is cut off from 7 in the morning and it is put on 7 in the evening. So why are we disadvantaging these poor paid officers? I thank you.
Honourable, okay, Mbavasi, then Kahwa, Kumama, Masika, and close with the Abbott.
Thank you very much, Right
But
Honourable.
social distance, observe distance. Eh?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to commend the government for the work well done on handling COVID-19. Right Honourable Prime Minister, I come from a hard-to-reach district, which is Kagadi and the border district. So far, we have over 200 households in a sub-county called Ndaiga that have been displaced. I'm wondering what plans we have for such people, those that are bordering the waters. What plans do we have so that they can get out of this situation? Another question, Right Honorable Prime Minister, is about the private teachers. There are these teachers who teach even in government schools, but they are not on payroll. They have not been paid since January, and they have not been categorized under vulnerable people. So I would request that if we can also get Honorable Tafas Kahwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Right Honorable Prime Minister, my concern is about distribution of food. I have a community of people living at the lake shores of Lake Albert. They are starving. They depend on the lake, but they were stopped from fishing. I request for some distribution. Secondly, as you distribute vehicles, I request that you give the priority to border districts because we are more locked than other districts. Thank you.
Honorable Masika.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Thank you, Right Honorable Minister. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister. My question or my request is, I come from Namisin, the border area, where even His Excellency, they almost got him there during the Bush War. It is a porous border with so many people coming from the other side and their relatives. Some of them are locked on the other side. The only request is that I need some food from the office of the Prime Minister. The landslides are coming down threatening people. The Good Samaritans whom you ask to accommodate their friends or their relatives, they have stayed there for a long time with their relatives, 10 people in a house. And then those ones who are supposed to go to Bulambuli to be accommodated,
Mama.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank, first of all, the Prime Minister for the report he just submitted this House.
Okay, ma.
But I also want to know whether he has got the plan to roll out what he has done in Kampala, Wakisa, and Mukono, the rest of the country. And when is he submitting that plan so that it can reach out to the rest of the country. Secondly, I also want to ask the Prime Minister, people in Galilaya are actually at a loss. There is a parish called Ntimba. It's completely cut off by the floods. They cannot access food. And this is a fishing community. The fishing was stopped. They can't fish. COVID has come in. They can't move out of their homes. Now the floods have come in. What are the plans? What plans are there?
Yes, Honorable Abbott.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister, I want a clarification on the following. You have 3,200 isolation centers, and we have people who have been quarantined in the islands, in a place called Kandege without food. They are calling us to go and help. What is your plan towards these areas? You have put us quarantine areas in the islands. Number two, the President had said something that areas within the islands, I think they should be considered in terms of food promotion, food distribution. What is your plan towards that? Number three, the water levels have risen. All the places in Singila, Gorofa, Kandege, Hama, all their houses have been destroyed. They are now heaped together, about in terms of 300 200, they are all in one places. What is the plan? Because that one means they're separating the disease. What is your plan to help these people who are now around 20,000 along those areas? Lastly, I only want to say what the Speaker.
Then Nakate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Quickly, Right Honourable Prime Minister, there are many people who were referred from different districts to the regional hospitals and national hospital. They were brought by ambulances, but after recovering and discharged, they cannot go back. And we are getting challenges to manage them. Relatedly, the President said that when the candidate classes go back to school, for the 40 districts, border districts, government will find a way of transporting these children. Are they going to be transported with their parents? And how will the parents go back? Because there's no public transport in the 40 districts. Imagine a P7 candidate who is 13 years old cannot just take this child without the company of the parent. So how will these parents move from their districts and back?
Then of course Honorable Komakech, and then okay, you'll come and queue. Nakate Komakech, take the stand. Yes, you can all queue. You queue. 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, in your statement you said at an appropriate time the Minister of Foreign Affairs is going to give guidelines on how to rescue Ugandans abroad. My question is, how soon is that appropriate time, because we are talking about Ugandans in distress? Two, it's an appeal on, through the National Task Force to give out more public information on how to wear masks. And thirdly and lastly, I add my voice to the others on the issue of teachers in private schools. Right Honourable Prime Minister, these are people also in distress. It's not like some private schools.
Thank you, Honourable Member from Barara. Komakech, quickly. Atkins, Gutamoy, Rambulindo, and close with the Honourable Member there.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Prime Minister, the issue of Gulu Referral Hospital is urgent because what was budgeted for was exhausted because the current capacity has been exceeded. And when do we get more resources to ensure that Gulu Referral Hospital is placed in a way that can help in the entire north to receive some of the emergencies that are coming from Elego and part of South Sudan? Mr. Prime Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm here to talk about a triple tragedy: coronavirus, the floods, and the starvation. Madam Speaker, my community is at the border, and that is in Pondwe Rubiriha border. And we have a hospital. We're a hospital. It doesn't have a car, and the people managing the civilians and isolation and screening our unit are supposed to move from their homes to the hospital. And they don't have a car. And I'm just wondering, we have 5 major borders in the country. How did Where Hospital miss on the 45 care distribution? What was the criteria? Madam Speaker, we need rescue as soon as immediately, even as we wait for the report. The Minister for Disaster Preparedness. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gutamoy, then Navulindo, and then the last one. So, okay, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Mr. Prime Minister, my question is that we have in records those who have been laid off during the lockdown, coming from different places and working in different industries in Kampala and Jinja and elsewhere. And these people have no food. These people, when time comes for going home, they will have no transport means. Are you aware of these people and their challenges? 2, in Lira, I've already received a list of over 50 people who were arrested, some of them beaten, and then their cases were caught and they were taken to prison. Now, this was after the presidential declaration of this lockdown.
Mabudindo.
Thank you so much, the Right Honorable Speaker. The Right Honorable Prime Minister, this is a question. What plans do you have for the students who are Kenyans and they are candidates and they study in Uganda here? 2, this is a request. The Busia produce traders are really requesting that if the government could go and buy their maize and beans, because they are rotting in the stores, and the new harvest is almost, this is a real humble request. Lastly, Busitema University students are dying of hunger. As you distribute food, please consider the students of Busitema University, or else you allow the 20 millions we're handing over to the district task force to be bought food and distribute. Thank you.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, at the onset of COVID-19, our concern was availability of water for people to wash hands. And we raised this concern. Now, the Ministry of Water wrote to the districts saying that they should repair boreholes, because this has been majorly shouldered by members of parliament. But to date, as we speak, the districts are saying they have never seen any money sent by Ministry of Water, and people cannot repair boreholes. They are still asking us to repair boreholes up to this time. Prime Minister, may you tell us whether the money was indeed sent to the district so that the boreholes are repaired and people have water so that it can help them to fight the disease. Secondly, the sub-county task forces up to date, out of the 165 million sent to the districts, are saying they have never gotten a... Speaker, can we know from the Prime Minister whether that money was also meant to facilitate the sub-counties or not? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honourable members, 49 members have contributed. We've taken quite a bit of time and it's almost curfew, but let me see whether the Prime Minister has anything to respond very quickly.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Let me salute the colleagues for raising many issues, very serious issues, clearly demonstrating rightly deep interest in handling issues that confront us that are related to the coronavirus. I will endeavor to respond to quite a number of questions. Those that I may not be able to cover will be covered by my colleagues, either now or at a different time, depending on what is available in terms of time. But I really am very happy with the issues that have been raised, and they are going to be very helpful to us who are directly managing this. The main issues, some of them were connected concerning food. For example, Guruchamu says, well, isn't Nakaseke part of Uganda? And a number of other colleagues said, when is exercise rolling out? And indeed, Right Honourable Speaker, as you remember, from the very beginning, even before the exercise started, this was a subject matter for all of us. The distribution of food has not been a very easy exercise, but fortunately, it has helped people be able to overcome some of the challenges. Nevertheless, food will continue to go to specific areas of the country that have been assessed to be in need. It is also true that when I made reference to food being distributed in orphanages and hospitals, this is an exercise that is still going on. So those who have not been reached, please, you have not been forgotten. You'll be covered in due course. The question of quarantine and support for people in quarantine centers, a number of colleagues said they are not being catered for, assisted. It's true that the Ministry of Health is endeavoring to make sure that all quarantine centers are supported so that no quarantine center is left without being supported. Masks, the question of masks, the question of masks.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Oh, what rule? Which rule?
Rule 12. But something related to what is the Prime Minister is saying.
But, honour members, why don't you allow the Prime Minister to complete his response? Please.
I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The question of masks, friends. This is a major subject. Actually, the Ministry of Health has already given guidelines to those who are manufacturing, but the ministry should publicize them widely so that whoever is involved in it is doing the masks as required, so that we do not have fake masks being sold to the population. The suffering of religious leaders because they are not having church services and therefore collections is a legitimate point. Actually, in a way, we are looking at them as people who also deserve and need support. The question of money, can the 20 million shillings be used? The answer is definitely yes. Yes, I have discussed this matter several times with both Ndugu Matia Kasaija and Ndugu Bahati. All one needs is for the accounting office at the district to get simple clearance from the accountant general, people in finance, and it's a straightforward matter. The money is meant to be used to support the population, and bureaucracy should not delay usage of this money. Then the question of refugees. The refugees from South Sudan and the problems they may be causing and are coming only when there is distribution of food. Really, those who just come on the day of distribution of food are not refugees. And in my view, this is a matter that the UNHCR and the government will sort out because refugees should be refugees, either should be in the camps or in recognized urban centers or in their residences where they have been given some piece of land to survive. There has also been a point that security should be made available, especially in some of the areas of our neighboring country, South Sudan, where there is more concentration in the internal conflicts and perhaps less concentration on the fight against the pandemic. This is a matter, and I'm glad that Ndugu Baba raised this matter. He is both a diplomat and is also a neighbor of a friendly country, South Sudan. Some of your contacts and communication may be helpful in this respect, Ndugu Baba. Kibalia raised the issues of nurses threatening with strike. The question of payment by the Minister of Health has been an issue for some time, but the Minister of Health has also been wanting to ascertain the actual people and their details. I hope that if it has not been sorted out, it should be sorted out as quickly as possible so that these people, very deserving on the front line, should without any delay have their little monies paid. My star from Lamo raising the issue of 250 people requiring some food displaced. Yes, we have agreed that we will discuss in detail the subject matter tomorrow morning at 9:30 and see what can be done. Guidelines to students. The Ministry of Education, working closely with the Ministry of Health, is going to give clear guidelines on how the students, both from the border areas and the rest of the country, will handle this question of travel, and I better let that be handled by the authorized ministry to come out with the details. The question of export of raw minerals, Honorable Sabit will know very well that His Excellency the President said Ugandan minerals should be processed so that we can get value out of them. This position is still standing, and by the way, when people invest here to process minerals, that will create even more jobs for our people. The friends who raised the issues of ambulances and them not being taken care of, I did say that only 45 of the vehicles have been given out. We have another 20 or so to give out. However, the guidelines are given by the Ministry of Health. It is the Ministry of Health that is conversant, that's familiar with the shortages, with the problems, with the challenges, and it's advisable that colleagues should raise their concerns with the Ministry of Health, because that's the line ministry that is really responsible. The question of supplies and the Beam Hospital and a number of other hospitals. As I said, this supplying is still continuing of food and some essential items, and if you have not been reached, if your hospital has not been reached or orphanage, it will be reached. My member of parliament from Kabale municipality, Honorable Aja, did raise issues that Kabale should not be left out. Yes, I agree that it should not be left out, except that should be treated like another part of Uganda. On Kamsime from Ruchiga also raised the issue of the vehicle to be available. This matter will be handled by the responsible Ministry of Health. My sister Cecilia Ogwa did raise a number of issues. on the question of masks. The question of masks, fortunately, it's going to be solved relatively quickly because the big manufacturers are already being active. The small groups, women's groups, youth groups, small manufacturers are all involved in it, but guided by the Ministry of Health to make sure that they are producing quality and appropriate standards. So I believe that this matter is going to be sorted out fairly quickly. The Right Honourable Speaker was 100% right on the question of boats for as ambulances or as means of transport. Actually, in this situation we are in, among the people who have suffered the most are people who live on islands or by the shores of the lake, say Victoria, and the Kyoga, and other lakes. So this problem is very well known, and every effort is being made to ensure that they are actually supported.
We have 15 minutes to 6. You have answered it.
Every effort is being made to make sure that people are paid their money, and really it is of grave concern to us in the government, and we have already discussed the matter with the responsible ministry with an assurance from them that they are expediting the payments. The question of teachers losing jobs, actually, again, this is a problem that we know, especially private teachers teaching in private schools, because all of a sudden they are not being paid in many schools, and they are really in desperate conditions, and they are among the people we are looking at when we are in this question of food distribution. There are other issues are being tackled by the ministry responsible for labor.
No, Minister, if you could, it's 5:45. 5:45 and there's a curfew.
So right now, I think in that respect, in another couple of minutes, if I may just conclude, ELEGU and testing facilities, I must say the testing facilities on our border areas are improving every day, and the different border areas will be reached and supported. So we have been advised by Right Honourable Speaker that we should be law-abiding and that curfew is in the vicinity. I do thank the colleagues who have raised many issues. Well, I didn't pretend to have answered all the questions. I was really making response to the Right Honourable Speaker's point about time. Because what I also propose, I need to be guided by Right Honourable Speaker. I still have actually a pile of questions to respond to. I have no problem in the course of next week coming back to respond to some of these very legitimate questions.
Madam Speaker,
I will be advised by the Right Honourable Speaker, because she's one who knows the issues.
Prime Minister,
of time.
the issues raised are important, and it's important that you get the feedback from the country through this House. So we shall give you 30 minutes on Tuesday.
Be more than happy.
Madam Speaker, the displacement of people is happening tonight.
Yes.
I wish she can really respond to that matter and probably halts the operation tonight of displacing people from their villages. 68 villages, Right Honourable Speaker.
Right Honourable Speaker, if I may make a comment on that, government doesn't work in such a mechanical way. So I have received this important information. After this session, I'll contact the ministers responsible, and then government will take a position on the matter.
Okay. Prime Minister, can you also take a position on the issue of the food which is rotting in the markets, Busia? The stores are full, and the non-vegetable people are not allowed to sell.
Yeah, the Busia issue, actually, I have already discussed it with the honorable members, and it has also been discussed in other fora. It is a matter we are looking at as a government. And I think the honorable member should wait for a response from government on the matter. It is already well known.
Right Honourable Speaker, we have waited for almost 2 months, but the maize is in the store and the sorghum is not waiting. It is rotting every day. That's why we are requesting, even give us 1 day for the business people who borrowed loans to buy their produce, to remove and even keep in their houses. Just even give us 6 hours of a day, just to remove. Because as the more we wait, the maize that is rotting is not waiting. The beans are not waiting. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Right Honourable Speaker, the problem, what is the hindrance? The hindrance is that this is a market shared by 2 countries. And you can easily have mingling of people, and you know what mingling and closeness will produce, and we will find ourselves in the... So let us give it proper consideration. Your point of urgency is well taken.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker, members,
the floods. Madam Speaker, this is, I think, urgent too, given that, Madam Speaker, the 6 people that were covered by the mudslide, communities, and I fear communities and the people in our community, in my community, are helpless because the rivers burst their banks, so police cannot cross over. And I was wondering, Madam Speaker, whether the Prime Minister cannot explore the possibility of dispatching a police helicopter to evacuate people that are trapped on the other side. The fact that the weather again is threatening to drown those that are still trapped on the other side of our community. Thank you, Madam
Speaker. That's why His Excellency President Museveni and the ministers were in the area
let the government buy this food.
In order to assess and do the needful to support the population. I thank you,
Prime Minister. The last one was from Honorable Lindo. She's saying, why doesn't the government buy that food, which is the Busia market?
The what?
Why doesn't the government buy the food, which is going to rot, and save the people that are taking it from?